Hey there guys, I'm TheRoyalGorilla and welcome back to Going Ape. Today, this is going to be the first kind of Going Ape on episode, and I'm just going to be talking about Quantum Break today. And I know it kind of sounds like I'm going to be ripping on this game, which I might be a little bit, but it's just going to be sort of a review-esque thing without any of the stupid review stuff, like scores. Let's get started, shall we? So Quantum Break was a game that I wasn't really excited about. I don't actually know why I ended up pre-ordering it in the end. I think I was probably planning on doing some Easter egg videos in it or something, but it turns out there's like one Easter egg in the game, which I will cover, and it's actually pretty cool, and it's more of like a combined universe than an Easter egg, to be honest. But that video will be coming, so you have that to look forward to. But I was really not expecting much from the game. None of the game's publicity had really kind of grabbed my attention. So when I did receive it on Tuesday, I was a bit like, okay, I'm not really sure what to expect. This is probably going to be a bit bad. And it turned out I actually really enjoyed the game. Surprisingly so, in fact. I actually wanted to keep going and not want to stop until I'd finished it. It was really refreshing to play a game which is solely focused on telling a story. But that also does create a problem in that in trying to just tell a story, it kind of negates some of the gameplay elements as well. So I'm going to start by saying that the graphics, yes, they do look nice. It looks very lovely. It's a nice looking game. But there is a bit of a problem where it kind of does tend to sneak into the uncanny valley every now and again. I don't really think it goes full-blown uncanny valley, but it's kind of getting into that uncomfortable zone almost. It doesn't quite do it. So it's okay, and it does look really nice. The game looks really good. Some of the big set pieces that you have a look at, they look good, and it's kind of ruined actually by they have this, I'm going to try not to do any spoilers for the game here, but there are these particles, and they're kind of these geometric shapes, how they're represented in the game, and they kind of ruin the look of it sometimes, and I understand why they've done it. It's to show the whole time travel aspect, that kind of thing, but I think they just ruin some of the nice scenery. So let's move on to the shooting mechanics, and they are pretty much standard. You're not really going to get anything incredible here, and they're not rubbish either. They don't feel weak, but they're not really satisfying. So you're going to be shooting quite a lot of dudes, and it's just going to feel like you're shooting a lot of dudes. And it's not going to feel really enjoyable. You're not going to be like, oh, when's the next shooting section come? That normally comes in as, oh, when's the next story section going to come? That's what I really enjoyed about this game, and it's where it stood the strongest. And I'm going to keep saying that because it's true. The shootings are just shooting, and they're there to keep the game going, I guess, and to keep the gameplay interesting. So I think one of my favourite parts of the game is the actual time powers. Now, in a combat situation, these powers are actually really fun to use. And a lot of the time in battles, they are actually required, because without them, you're going to get your ass handed to you pretty damn quickly. There are a few of the tougher enemies in the game that actually require you to slow down time to get behind them, which is the only way to kill them. And utilising the powers in this way just feels like a really organic way of introducing the concept of time into the gameplay. As far as combat goes, the time powers are probably the best part. Being able to freeze an enemy and then just unload loads of bullets into them that all hit at the exact same time is always really satisfying. Also, being able to run at someone in super speed just to smack them in the face is one of my favourite things about the game. Whereas I do enjoy the time powers, sometimes they're used in ways that I'm not really keen on. There are a couple of times when they do cram it in your throat that you need to be using these powers, such as there's quite a lot of platforming in the game, which is something that I didn't really expect there to be quite as much of. But in certain areas there'll be like a door or something that's glitching through time, or however they explain it, and you'll have to use your time powers to slow it down. And it's a nice mechanic, but I kind of feel like they do get a bit redundant when you don't actually need them. If there were a few moments when you're like, this is essential to getting past this part of the game, other than an arbitrary door that you can't get through, I just wanted more from the time powers, I think. They're cool, but they're not cool enough. Do you get what I mean? So no matter what game I play, I'm always going to come back to the fact that I do like to get all of the achievements in the game. And one of the most annoying things about this game, and it's also sort of a story point, is there are bloody hundreds of collectibles. Every mission, you'll have like a number that tells you how many have you completed so far, and this is how many you're missing, and I'm like, I really want to get all of them, because I want to do this game to 100%. I've completed the game now, and I believe I'm on 96, and it's really annoying me, because one of the really good things about this game is that the choices that you make, they actually affect how things turn out well. I don't know how much they do. It's because I don't want to go back in the story to try and do other choices and to see how much that changes. Because I've really invested in the choices I've chose. And other games I have done that. I've been like, ooh, what happens on the other ending? Note in point, I did that on Fallout 4 like 4 different times to get all the endings. But there's something about Quantum Break's story that I'm like, yeah, that was a nice packet. I'm going to leave it there. I made the choices I was happy with. Yeah, I'm happy with that. But it is a bit annoying that I'm going to maybe have to do it if I want the achievements. And I know achievements aren't important, but damn, I like them points. So let's get to the thing that I've pretty much glossed over the entire video so far. The live action parts of this game are actually my favourite, and they're the bit that aren't a game, which is really, really weird. So I've said multiple times now that the story is my favourite part of this game, and most of that story actually comes from the live action elements. Although you don't normally follow the main protagonist, you have a couple of other guys and girls that you're following. But I got really invested in these characters, and I really didn't want to see bad things happen to them. So there's this moment, and I'm not going to spoil it, but one of the guys that you're following in the live action shows up later in the game, and it might be a fight, and it might not be a fight, but I didn't want to do the fight if it was a fight, but it might not have been a fight because I don't want to give any spoilers. That's not a spoiler, is it? I really hope that's not a spoiler. So yeah, the live action was actually my favourite part of the game, and I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't have actually liked the live action if it wasn't part of the game, which is the funny thing. The two really do complement each other very well. And I think it's just a really unique way of telling the story, because it's not like the live action has taken the place of cutscenes in the game. You do still have game cutscenes, but once you complete an act, then you get the live action segment, which I actually quite like. So I'm going to just go back to the platforming for 1 minute, because I just remembered something that happened to me and it really annoyed me. So if you've seen any of the trailers for the game, this won't be much of a spoiler, but there's this moment when a boat crashes into a bridge. And this is probably one of the most platforming heavy moments in the game, because you're trying to work your way through all this carnage and you're jumping from signs to cars to trucks as this whole thing is going down and it's frozen in time. And this is just something that really annoyed me and it really stuck with me. There was this moment when I got a bit lost and I didn't really know where I wanted to go, and I looked below me and there was a platform. It was like perfect jumping height, so I was like, yep, let's jump down there. Died instantly. Obviously not the way to go. So I carried on, worked out the correct way. Next thing I know, I'm down there, but I've gone a different route. That wasn't a high drop. You can survive bigger drops than that. It was just a pure fact that it wanted me to go over there so I could see that little bit of story. Which wasn't really story at all. It was just a bit of debris falling or something. It wasn't important. I could have just jumped down there. If you're going to do that to me, at least put the platform where I'm going to be later, not directly jumpable to where I am at that time. Annoying. So I've got a few final words to say about this game. I don't think I've been too negative on it, have I? Because I did actually really enjoy it. One of the best things is that it just didn't overstay its welcome. Once I'd had enough of it, the game ended. And it was pretty much the perfect length, which I was more than happy with. It's about 15 hours long, depending on how quickly you play it. And the live action segments are maybe 20-25 minutes for each of them. So we're actually going to end this on probably the thing that I was most annoyed about the entire game. So what I'm going to say is, if you've come this far and you haven't wanted any spoilers, even though I might have given you one by accident, leave now, because this is going to be a spoiler for the end of the game. Okay, is everybody gone? Good. So at the end, you end up having a big boss battle, as you do in most games, with the big bad guy. I won't go into details of names, just in case anyone did stick around for spoilers. But basically, this boss battle introduces mechanics that haven't showed up anywhere else in the entire game. It's just expecting you to understand these new concepts when the first time that you actually encounter them, if you don't get out of the way, because it's kind of like a bomb, I guess, but it's a time bomb. If you don't get out of the way, you're dead instantly. So whereas I didn't die barely anything throughout the entire game, this last boss battle, I probably died about 4 or 5 times before I worked out, oh okay, when that red light is happening, I need to bloody get the hell out of there. I think the thing that was most annoying about it, it wasn't out of place for the game. Obviously it was this whole time power thing. But earlier in the game, you've seen these kind of red domes, which just cancel out your powers. And you're like, oh, maybe that's what this is on the floor. Maybe it's just going to cancel my powers, so, oh, I don't need to come out from behind this cover. But no, it's instant death. Thanks for clarifying that, Quantum Break. That totally didn't get me killed fucking 5 times. So anyway, in conclusion, Quantum Break was actually a really good game, even though I didn't expect it to be so. If you love story-based games, which should technically have some replayability because of the different choices you can make, I'm not sure what kind of difference they'll make to the overall story, then Quantum Break is probably a really good game for you to pick up. If you're looking for something more, maybe multiplayer, you're definitely not going to get that here. But what you do get is a really solid title for $60 that is going to round off really nicely and pretty much get you interested in the sequel. So whereas I wasn't interested in Quantum Break before it released, Quantum Break 2, yeah, I'm pretty excited for that.
His name is Luke and he's more than your average gamer. No ordinary let's player. Know about Easter eggs much better. Da 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 da. His name is Luke, aka the Royal Gorilla. Even bigger than the giant Godzilla. Follow him in every game he goes. Da 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 da. He's almost got everything you need, from GTA 5 to